Hello, this is Rachel live from Kalkine Sydney studios and you're watching the early trades. A bank-led sell-off on Wall Street points to early pressure on Australian shares as the countdown to Christmas enters its final week. Australian shares are trading lower at the open, with Magellan leading the losses. The S&P ASX 200 is down at just 4.9 points today to 7,299.1. Now, Magellan shares tumbled 19.4% to $23.67 at the open after losing a key mandate. St James's Place has terminated its mandate with Magellan. The mandate was a separate account and not an investment in any of Magellan's retail global funds, and represents approximately 12% of the group's current annual revenues, and it's anticipated to have approximately a 6% impact on the revenues for the year ending 30th of June 2022. Now, the impact will be immaterial on the group's interim results due on the 31st of December 2021. St Barbara shares were trading 5.4% lower at $1.39 after announcing the acquisition of Bardock Gold. CIMIC was down 4.9% to $17.43, and Nanosonics declined 4.8% to $6.20 so far today. Viva Energy is trading at 2.8% higher at $2.21. That's after saying its earnings would be double what they were from a year ago. Afterpay shares are up 2.8% to $84.94, and BlueScope Steel shares are 2.7% to up to $21.61. Now, the index has lost 1.09% for the last 5 days, but sits 4.37% below its 52-week high. And it seems that the prayers for a Santa rally have as yet gone unanswered. If he's coming this year, he is leaving it a little late. The market's current malaise was summed up on Friday as a relief rally dwindled from a robust gain of 0.7% to a paltry 0.1% by the close. Buy now, pay later stocks fell hard after the US Consumer Financial Protection Bureau announced an inquiry into the industry. The regulator specifically named 5 US players, including Afterpay, Zipco, Affirm, Klarna and PayPal. The S&P ASX 200 has had one good week in the last 6. The benchmark appears to have slipped into a medium-term downtrend characterized by lower highs in September, mid-November and December the 8th. Horizontal support around 7,185 to 7,200 has held so far, but a close below those levels would open the door to a much deeper retrace. The market mood last week was not helped by record new COVID case numbers in the reopened New South Wales. Weekend figures showed no let-up. The state recorded all-time highs on Saturday and Sunday. And while there's no appetite within government for a return to lockdown, economic activity over the crucial holiday season is likely to take a hit. There are a few positives on Friday's US action. All 11 sectors declined. Falls range from 0.3% for the decisive real estate sector up to a chunky 2.27% for financials and 2.24% for energy. Industrials lost 1.7% and materials 1.32%. Newsflow is expected to slow dramatically this week. That's because of the run-up to Christmas. Friday's annual general meetings were the last of the year. Listed companies are obliged to meet continuous disclosure obligations over the holiday season, but corporate activity normally thins until well into January. Economic data is also going to be light on the ground. The minutes from this month's RBA meeting on Tuesday looks like the only release with the potential to move the market. On the IPO front, there's no let-up in the end-of-year scramble to list. 2 stocks are set to make their debut today, according to the ASX. There's 9 companies lined up to make their debuts this week, including 5 on Wednesday. Bird Dog Technology listed this morning at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time today. This is a developer and manufacturer of audio, visual and video technology, which enhances the quality, speed and flexibility of video through a range of solutions. The company raised $33 million at 65 cents. Chemex Materials is due to list today at 2 p.m. The company's main business is the development of materials in the high-demand sectors of renewable energy and technology markets. They raised $8 million at 20 cents. And the rest of the week currently looks like this. Rubix Resources is to list tomorrow, Atura, DMC Mining, Falcon Metals, Greentech Metals and Infinity Mining on Wednesday, Solace Minerals on Friday. Moving on, and the dollar rallied 0.24% this morning to 71.41 US cents. And now, before we look at some other important updates from ASX listed companies, let's take a short break here. I'll be back soon.
Property by Kalkine. Looking for a dream home? Well, that may sound easy, but it isn't. And from looking for a property that is the right fit for you in terms of cost and other factors, to zeroing down on the right mortgage plan, there are various aspects to consider. And for the latest slowdown in the property market, tune in on Kalkine TV with me, Sage. I will give the latest updates on the property market as well as real estate stocks to help you make the right decision. Keep watching Property with Kalkine.
Welcome back, Rachel here. We'll now look at some other newsmakers from this morning. Origin Energy has entered into an agreement to acquire WinConnect, currently majority owned by Pacific Equity Partners, for $42.4 million. Now, as part of the transaction, Origin has also agreed to certain amendments to its master services agreement with IntelliHub, also majority owned by Pacific Equity Partners, under which IntelliHub provides metering services to Origin. The amendments to the master services agreement include an increase in meter volumes. In addition, IntelliHub will acquire both Origin's and WinConnect's electricity embedded network meters. The US healthcare regulator, the FDA, has approved Telix Pharmaceuticals' Illuccix drug as a radioactive diagnostic tool for the detection of prostate cancers. Telix said it has a distribution network of 140 nuclear pharmacies through agreements with Cardinal Health and PharmaLogic in the US to provide Illuccix to more than 85% of eligible positron emission tomography sites in the US. Telix shares are up 952% over the past 5 years and last closed at $7.92 on a $2.25 billion market cap. And St Barbara and Bardock Gold have entered into a binding scheme implementation deed under which St Barbara will acquire all of the shares of the capital of Bardock. Now, Bardock shareholders will receive 0.3604 new St Barbara shares for each Bardock share, valuing Bardock at $157 million. The implied valuation is at a 29.2% premium to Bardock's last close price. And Viva Energy expects earnings in financial year 2021 to double the result from a year earlier, and that's despite lockdowns in Victoria and New South Wales during the third quarter and continued border closures impacting aviation sales. The company says it's achieved strong fuel sales across both its retail and commercial segments, with total sales volumes expected to be up 5% for the year ending 31st of December. The group said it expected underlying EBITDA to be between $470 million and $490 million for the year, double the $244.6 million from the 2020 financial year. Well, that's all for now on the Early Trade Show. Stay tuned to Kalkine TV. We've got many more shows lined up for you, sharing live updates across the economy, markets and sectors. This is Rachel signing off for now.